Good day. I'm Matthias of Regenerations Creations, and today I want to talk about another of my core beliefs, that we must always seek companionship. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. This is the belief that I am the worst at. I've always been a loner, and I rather like it that way. I've had social anxiety for as long as I can remember, and have always considered myself to be an introvert. Because of these factors, I find that isolation and quiet are the things that bring me comfort. But all good things must be in moderation, for I also realize that fully isolating myself leads to misery as well. When I was deep in the throes of alcoholism and depression, I stayed alone in my room as much as possible. At first, this was great because I didn't have to worry about what others thought, and I didn't have to answer any questions about what I was going to be doing with my life. But this type of life makes it impossible to fulfill most of the other beliefs that I've talked about on this channel. My self-imposed exile meant I took no responsibility, had no courage to face myself or the world, was not grateful for the friends and family that I had. It also made my social anxiety much worse because I simply fell out of practice with communicating with others. It was also a very selfish life. There's no way that I was doing any good for others when I just stayed in my room. Now, I haven't really talked about this on this channel, but one of the reasons for my big slide into depression and alcoholism was a bad breakup and then having to move back to my hometown. As a kid, I hated my hometown. It's a small farm town in California's Central Valley, and I thought it was ugly and boring. All I wanted was to move away and never come back. So I did move away and went to university, and there I met a girl. After graduating, I moved with her to San Diego. Then it all fell apart, and I had to move back to my hometown. I felt like such a massive failure. My one goal had been to move out, and now here I was, stuck right back in the place that I hated. Except it was even worse, because now I was broken and directionless. Then I hurt my back, and I was in immense pain, all while COVID locked the world down around me. When I finally went to the doctors, they said I was pre-diabetic, had liver damage, my blood pressure was through the roof. They said I had to get sober, get active, change my diet, or else I would need to start a daily regimen of pills. Thankfully, hitting this rock bottom left me with only one direction to go: up. This is when my regeneration started. When I found a career that that was meaningful to me, when I embraced my family again, not making myself the outsider any longer. I started reading philosophy. Excuse me. I started reading philosophy again and thinking of ways to improve myself. Now I still have an incredible amount of growing and learning to do, but at least I found a direction to aim towards. As I get my life back together, I started thinking more about getting into a new relationship. I'm still dealing with self-loathing and doubt, but most of all, I don't want to repeat the mistakes that I made in my last relationship. Then one day I heard a podcast, and I still think about what they said to this day. It said you need to think about the qualities and characteristics that you're looking for in a partner, and then become those things yourself. So if you want someone who is patient and kind, then first work on making yourself more patient and kind. If you want someone who is fit and healthy, then get fit and healthy yourself. How can you expect others to do things that you yourself will not do? Doing this is also a good way to find that person that you want, right? If you want a partner that loves hiking and reading books, then start going out and doing those things, right? It puts you in a prime position to meet the person with your shared values. I think this is just as true for finding friends as for romantic partners. It also helps to just be open to new things and find joy in the things that others care about. For example, I used to hate art. I didn't get the appeal. I thought it was just for snobby people, to like be pretentious about. But then a friend suggested we go to an art museum. I usually would have said, heck no, I'm not doing that. But I decided to go along with it. And I had an amazing time. Since then, I've learned to appreciate painting, sculpture, architecture, and it also got me out of my shell more, right? To be more active in the world, to go out and do things I haven't done before. I didn't meet anyone there, but I did meet a new part of myself, which is just as good. Now, when I'm out in public, I try to focus on what's beautiful around me and on being grateful for the experiences instead of focusing on my social anxiety and wanting to just be alone in my room. I also try to remember the Stoic saying, all humans were made for each other. So seek either to teach them or learn to bear with them. I realized a lot of my social anxiety stemmed from the fact that I hated myself. So now I'm learning to bear with and understand myself. Now that I'm learning that, it's much easier to extend that to others as well. And I feel the same for teaching, right? I should teach when people are ready to listen, but then I must also be receptive to letting others teach me. I try to tell myself that every person has something that they can teach me, and I just have to be patient, alert, and resilient enough to learn from them. This goes back to being the characteristics that you were looking for in others. If I want others to listen to me, then I must first be open to listening to them. As they say, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth so we could listen twice as much as we talk. And also the old saying, seek first to understand rather than to be understood. As the esoterics would say, you need to find a balance between your masculine and feminine energies to become your full self. Here, the masculine energy would be talking and wanting your ideas and values to be heard and shared, where the feminine energy would be listening and being receptive to others' beliefs. This balance is also something that I want in a partner and in friends. I don't want to be around a person who is all masculine energy because they're too boisterous and inflexible. A lot of my family, myself included, are very stubborn, and we always think we know best. It's good to have some of that, right? You need to be able to have the courage of your convictions and stand on what you believe in and say it loudly and proudly. But also, it can be exhausting to be around in large quantities. I also don't want to be around someone who's all feminine energy because they're too indecisive and lack the courage of their convictions. I want to be with someone who is confident in themselves and their ideas, but who's also compassionate and open to hearing dissenting opinions. But again, if I want this in a partner or a friend, then I first must embody it myself. As I try to find the balance, I try to remember, be strict with myself and be lenient with others. I must be lenient of others because I have, or at least am capable of, making similar mistakes that they make. So I can't act like I'm better than them. And as Robin Williams once said, always be kind because everyone is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. But I must be strict with myself because I know I must constantly improve and learn, or else I'll just be getting worse. As a little counterpoint to that, I must also be wary of what I try to teach others because I know that I know nothing. So if I'm not careful, I can plant seeds in others that are based off my own ignorance and faulty logic. I must also be careful of what I tolerate in others because, as they say, all evil needs to win is for good people to do nothing. So it's all a balancing act. So to recap, I need to think of what I want in a friend or a partner and then become those things myself. I must find a balance in my masculine and feminine energy to become the best possible me. And I must be strict with myself to maintain positive growth while being lenient and understanding of others because I share all of their flaws. And I must remember that all humans were made for each other, so I must be smart enough to learn from them and strong enough to bear with them. I have been Matthias of Regenerations Creations, and thank you all very much for listening to my ramblings. Have a good day.